On a scale of 1 to 10, how mentally recharged do you feel right now? There's a good chance a lot of your life energy is being drained by work. You don't want to feel lazy for resting or guilty for letting anyone down. So you push through. You drink a bunch of coffee and you pretend you're doing fine because our jobs demand that. We're exhausted all the time and we deserve to recover. But the ways that we try to recharge in our time off just aren't working. We can come back after a weekend or even a vacation, but still feel drained. So, what are we missing? I wanted to know. So I dove into the research to find out what might actually help us achieve the deep level of recovery we truly need. It turns out there are 4 psychological pathways that allow us to actually recharge. And if you know how to trigger these, you can feel happier, more focused, and genuinely engaged with work again. These insights hugely impacted me. And in my sessions, I started calling this the recharge protocol. You can apply this to recover in your evenings, weekends, or even micro breaks during your day. I'm going to walk you through how to prevent the biggest drain on your battery, how to deeply rest, and in the 4th pathway, I'll even show you how top CEOs use something called serious leisure to thrive despite intense demands. Recharge pathway 1, psychological detachment from work. Here is what you need to know. If you're thinking about work during your time off, you're not recovering, you're just working for free. You can't refill the tank while the engine's still running. Research shows that one of the biggest drains is the inability to mentally disengage from work. When you think about work, your nervous system stays switched on, and that keeps burning fuel. And recovery can't begin until you create a clean break. Quick test. If you're watching a show, but you're mentally solving problems or preparing for the next day, sorry, you are still at work and you're not getting paid. Across studies, people who truly switch off report more energy, sharper focus, and more meaning at work. And for many, creativity rebounds too. Let me show you how to get there. Pathway 1 is simple. Protect your mental space. Create a clean break into your personal time. Your employer pays for your labor, not for a weekend lease inside your head. I know someone, for example, who deletes work apps every Friday at 6 p.m. just to protect her boundaries from work intrusion. So, no notifications, no quick checks to see if they got back on this. Remove the trigger and the temptation, and your weekend can feel like a weekend again. Fast tools to mentally detach. 1. End of work ritual. If you commute, the transition is built in, lucky you, but if you work from home, you need to create one. Pick a simple, repeatable cue that says, I'm off work. Maybe you change clothes, move rooms, take a 10-minute walk. Personally, I never sit at my work desk unless I'm working. Repeating your ritual teaches your nervous system that you're off the clock. 2. Worry postponement for work thoughts. When work thoughts pop up in your free time, capture, assign a time, and then return to the present. For example, not now, I will deal with this at 10 a.m. on Monday. They are not paying for my brain on Saturday. This prevents slipping back into work mode. And 3, fill attention on purpose. Give your mind something that fully holds it. For me, movement, conversations, and cultural events work much better than just passive downtime. If I am sitting around at home, even if I'm off the clock, my brain is way more likely to drift back to work. If your attention is full, work can't sneak back in. I want to give you permission to prioritize recovery because you truly need it. Think about athletes, right? They become great at 2 processes, pushing hard and then recovering well. They don't max out all day, every day, right? They have structured, active recovery protocols. You've seen the ice baths and the compression and mobility, sleep, the rest. You would not call them lazy. It's how they protect their performance and prevent injury. We are work athletes. We get paid to perform, and that effort taxes the brain and the body. So we also need a personalized recharge protocol if we want to perform at our best. Push, then recover. It's just part of the job. You choose the activities. Pick something that is engaging enough to pull your attention off work. For me, it's reading fiction, it's music, it's cultural events. What is it for you? I know a lot of people say they use video games to recover after work. Personally, they've always felt a bit stressful to me, maybe because I'm terrible at them. So, let me ask you, do you think video games help people recharge? Based on what we've covered so far, I initially guessed yes, right? They're engaging, so it should be easy to forget about work. Then we can recharge. But I wanted published research on this, not guesses. So I checked Consensus. It's an AI-powered search tool that helps you almost instantly find out what real scientific research says about a topic. Instead of me having to sift through dozens of academic papers to get a picture, Consensus will scan peer-reviewed sites for me, and then it summarizes the findings in plain language. I typed our question: does playing video games aid in mental fatigue recovery? On the Consensus meter, across 9 studies, 67% say no, and 22% say yes. The summary below makes sense. Games can help via detachment from work, but costs show up when play gets too long or too intense. And if I want to go deeper, the individual sources are linked right below the summary. If you are like me and you prefer to make decisions based on real published research, not random opinions, check out Consensus. It's free to try, it's super easy to use, and honestly, I think it's going to be really helpful. You can find the link below. Okay, in Pathway 1, our goal is to figure out which activities will pull our attention away from work. This is personal. Video games are not for me unless we're talking Street Fighter 2 or NBA Jam. Just remember, fill your attention on purpose, and work can't fill it by accident. Because when you're off the clock, you're the boss, and that matters for recovery. Let me explain. Recharge Pathway 2. Autonomy and control. Your time is yours, not your company's, not your calendar's. No one gets to boss you around here, unless you let them. At work, we operate in hierarchies. We adapt, we perform, we can't always say no, even if our body says to stop. We can't leave just because we feel like it. We have to put on a mask, we push through. And that drains your battery. So, in your time off, the goal is to restore that sense of control. By checking in, by asking, what do I actually need right now? What would feel good today? And then giving yourself permission to act on the answer. A friend of mine took a week-long family vacation, and he couldn't understand why he came back feeling foggy, irritable, and more tired than when he left. So I asked him, hey, how much of that week did you spend doing what you wanted? He said, none of it. Every day was planned out by my family. He had time off, but no autonomy. He couldn't do what he needed to recharge. Barriers to autonomy. People-pleasing. Sometimes, when you're thoughtful, you end up paying more attention to other people's needs than to your own. And the result is that we're doing what's right for their nervous system, not for ours. Like, they might want intense activities that day, when what we need is some quiet and calm. Overscheduling. You fill your calendar until there's no space to pause or change course. Without that space, you can't check in and adjust, and that prevents recovery. I want you to carve out space for yourself. There will always be things you should do, but you're allowed to prioritize what you need. Sometimes that means saying no to requests or offers, or if it's already scheduled and no longer fits, consider cancelling. Recharging matters, and you deserve it. No guilt. So, check in. Regularly ask, does this fit my recharge protocol? Is this what I need right now? In any moment, your recharge might look like a hard workout, or a quiet book, or a slow walk, or the right kind of socializing. Your nervous system will tell you if you give it a chance. Obviously, you won't escape all responsibility in your time off, but don't let it fully take over. In the time that is yours, take control. Okay, we've talked about stopping the drain and reclaiming your autonomy. Now, let's move into how to actually fill the battery back up. Recharge pathway 3. Real relaxation. You are not lazy if you rest. You do not need to earn it by crossing everything off your to-do list. You are not falling behind when you rest. You're charging up. And the science is pretty clear. Real relaxation helps your battery refill. This is a core recovery experience in the research. Done well, it can leave you better rested, happier, and more enthusiastic about work. But here's the tricky part. Sometimes what we think is relaxing is actually subtly depleting. For example, reading fiction usually really relaxes me. But on a recent vacation, I got hooked on this courtroom thriller I just couldn't put down. My watch showed that it spiked my heart rate, and I was so wired after reading it each night that I struggled to get to sleep. In this case, reading was very enjoyable, but not relaxing. So, psychologically, what does count as real relaxation? Essentially, putting your nervous system in a state of low activation. Things that help us get there tend to be low mental effort, low stimulation, and pleasant. Lying around thinking about bad things isn't relaxing. It keeps you activated. So incorporate these into your time off for your recharge protocol. What gets you into a relaxation state will vary from person to person. So don't just copy what's supposed to be relaxing. Pay attention to what truly helps you. Perhaps by checking in after 10 or 20 minutes and asking whether you feel calmer or more keyed up. For me, I found it's slow walks, being in nature, music, fiction, the right kind, and meditation. And these are all activities that the research suggests are relaxing for a lot of people. So maybe try those out. Personally, I like checking heart rate and stress data, but your felt sense is enough. If you feel calmer, then yeah, it counts. A lot of us think relaxing means sinking onto the couch for some me time on social. But is that actually relaxing? For many people, no. It can ramp up performance goals, spark comparisons, or we just get fed stressful content. But it depends. It's really about how you use it and how it affects you. If you're connecting with soothing people or watching calm, beautiful, positive videos, it can help you unwind. For example, before I started this channel, I had only ever used YouTube to watch videos of trains moving through beautiful landscapes. And I can tell you, for me, that was very relaxing. If you're anything like me and you tend to overstimulate yourself, you will need a plan. I have to schedule my relaxation, which days, what time, what particular activity. Otherwise, I will just default to things that feel good in the moment, but do not recharge me, even though I know better than anyone how beneficial it is. So, choose periods of calm on purpose. This is your recharge protocol in action. Okay, congratulations. We have stopped the bleeding, we've taken back control, and now we've started filling the tank with real rest. But we are not done. Because while relaxation restores you quickly in the short term, deeper recharge doesn't come from stillness alone. Surprisingly, sometimes the best way to recover is to take action. Let me explain. Recharge pathway 4, mastery and growth. How do the most successful people in the world handle intense pressure without burning out? Let me tell you about something unexpected that some top CEOs say gives them confidence, sparks creativity, and restores energy. They don't just recover by switching off. They pursue something called serious leisure. But before we can dive into the deep end, let's talk about the final pathway of the recharge protocol, mastery and growth. This pathway asks you to get active and engaged. You use your strengths. You stretch a little and you learn. You care about what you're doing. Counterintuitively, that effort is energizing because it feeds purpose and progress and skill, core ingredients of vitality. You are not chasing productivity, you're choosing things that you inherently like. What is serious leisure? Serious leisure isn't dabbling. It's a pursuit that you return to and improve at, sometimes enough for it to become a part of your identity. You might set goals, join a community, take classes, track your progress. It's not your job, but it is a non-work career. It puts you into flow, you get better at it, and it gives back. Often, it's physical or creative in nature. And being different to what we do to work is part of why it's so restorative, despite the fact that it demands time and energy. Think of a software engineer who trains to be a serious chef. Or my accomplished CEO friend. He's done martial arts, music, travel his whole life, but his weirdest and most powerful recharge, freediving. Plunging deep underwater with no oxygen tank. It is the opposite of his daily grind, and that's part of why it works. You don't need serious leisure. Okay, let's bring this back up to the surface. You don't have to take up freediving to tap into this pathway. You just need activities that give you a sense of mastery and growth to get that recharge payoff. I have a client who gets this through puzzles, Sudoku, crosswords, new logic games. When he does this, he's learning, he's improving, and even connecting with others who love the same thing. So it works. For me, it's music. I've written songs most of my life. After my indie rock band days, I picked up the ukulele. Learning and playing is simply a lot of fun. Ask yourself, what skill or interest could I invest in that stretches me in a way that feels good? Your nervous system will thank you for it. Here are some options that work for a lot of people. Artistic and creative activities, learning about new topics, skill building style physical exercise, cultural engagement, and yes, even our old friend, video games. There's no one size fits all. So, as you build your recharge protocol, look for the activities that give you that enthusiasm and growth. It should be clear after watching all this that the better we know ourselves, the better we can take care of ourselves. If you want to discover who you really are, you can try the exercises in this video here. I'm so exhausted from making that video, I have to go recharge.